my name's Ron Cochran. I'm the communications director here in the City of Malden in Mayor Christensen's office. I'm joined today by Tom Flint, who is the artistic director for a project called Filmbuilding Malden, which we're going to get into and cover in great detail. This should be a short webinar. It's an information session, and it's to really let our residents know who haven't found out yet about this great project that is coming to the city, about a way that you can participate. And, I think the best way to describe it is really in, I think, layman's terms first, which is, what is this thing? If you had to describe what Filmbuilding Malden is on a 20-second elevator ride, Tom, how would you describe it? And then maybe we can dig in from there.
Absolutely. Starting with the elevator pitch, which is always the most challenging part, right? Well, first, let me thank you, Ron, for having me on here on behalf of the city and behalf of UMA for kind of being able to talk a little bit about this project. It's an honor to be here. So Filmbuilding Malden, in essence, it's a community-wide project that's aimed at connecting the people, the places, and the stories of Malden through discovery-based filmmaking. And it's being put forward by Urban Media Arts, which is a nonprofit based in downtown Malden. And it involves finding community members, also known as film builders, who we're now recruiting to come together across differences and form small groups who then go around exploring the city with their smartphones and creating short films related to their interpretation of the theme, who is Malden? And after the short films are made over the summer, at the end of the summer, we're going to have individual screening premiere events at specific locations around the city, outdoor green spaces, cafes, pubs, parking lots, kind of reimagining the film viewing experience and showing what's been made by these film builders, these Malden residents. And then we have a final citywide event in October. And it's kind of a celebration, the whole project, of arts and culture within the city and kind of embracing the really unique and kind of singular diversity of this city.
That's a great, I like the way you described it in terms of, this is like a team effort. And I think one of the things that, when I'm out and about and when I leave this city, I'm always sort of in my, I've always got my Malden marketing hat on. I'm always trying to get new residents to come live here, trying to get businesses to open up locations here, because I believe in this city strongly. And then I think, the word is definitely out. There's no question about it. We've had, many articles on, various news outlets, your Boston.coms or your niche.com or any of those types of things that talk about the great resources that we have in Malden. But when you live here, sometimes it's difficult to really get that temperature of like, what is Malden? Who are we? And what kind of fundamentally makes us up? Because we know by the numbers that we are, we usually toy around with either the first place, second place, for the most diverse cities in the state of Massachusetts. So clearly we know that's a strength of ours. And we know that that's something that defines us. So what you're saying, I think what I'm hearing here is that this is kind of a way for us to maybe encapsulate those types of things that make Malden great, and really display them, when you use the word film, I got to be honest, sometimes that can be a bit intimidating because I picture, having to go to school for this stuff, having to lay it out in just the right way, having to have experience with things like, video editing software, the right camera, the right lighting. I'm also hearing from you that this doesn't sound like that you're putting those obstacles in people's way. This is going to be pretty easy for them to participate. Maybe you could talk more about that.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up, Ron, because that's precisely the approach that we're taking. We're taking kind of a discovery-based approach to this project to make it as inclusive and as inviting as possible to everyone, whether they're people that are, learning English as a second language, people that have just moved to Malden and are still trying to understand and explore their community, or people that grew up here and have lived here their whole lives. So the real goal behind this, as you kind of pointed out, is to kind of lean into and really celebrate this great diversity that we have in Malden and make it kind of a cross-cultural experience. And I think, words like diversity and culture, they get thrown around quite a bit, but they're concepts and they can mean different things to each person. But when we as a team at Urban Media Arts are using culture within the context of this project, we're talking about the diversity of cultures in terms of ages, in terms of ethnic backgrounds, in terms of how you identify with the city or how you identify yourself. And the idea with this is to get these small groups of people working together, people that would otherwise never have the chance to connect, and using film, visual storytelling as a tool to explore each other's perspectives and the city that they live in. And as you mentioned, we are not emphasizing at all that you have to be an artist or a video maker or a filmmaker. On the contrary, we're trying to invite people that are first-time movie makers, just using their smartphones, not big cameras and tripods and lights, but really trying to invite everyone, regardless of their experience, that just has a story to tell or a perspective, which is all of us, to come into this experience, work with other people across differences, and explore who is Malden.
Well, that's great. So but before we're going to talk about this more, but I want to make sure that the folks that are tuning in early that maybe have to run quick and we've piqued their interest. Let's talk about first, just really quickly, how do you want folks to reach out to you for information if they'd like to learn more or if they do want to participate? Where should they go? Yeah,
so one of the main reasons we're doing this webinar right now, Ron, is to try and get people to apply to be film builders. And once again, the film builders are the people, the residents of Malden, or people who are working in Malden that may live outside of Malden, or even people in surrounding communities that are just kind of interested in who Malden is, that may not be directly connected with Malden yet. We're encouraging everyone to apply to be a film builder for this opportunity. And the way to do that is, the simplest way is to go onto the urbanmediaarts.org website, where you'll find the information on the webpage about Filmbuilding Malden. And but you can also, there's a direct link here. I brought a postcard, as you can see.
Okay, great.
You can see it's Discover Who is Malden, just kind of a blurb about the project, but there is a website right here, bit.ly/whoismalden, where you can go, and there's a QR code right here if you want to scan that through the screen.
I wonder if that will work. I'm going to try that right now and see if that works, but that should be fine. Yep, that is, if I'm holding my phone up to the screen, that is bringing me to the project location. So that's great.
Fantastic.
Urbanmediaarts.org officially, if you wanted to go the long way about this. But yeah, that's great. I did want to get that out there in front. So a few things catch my interest in what you're saying. So you're telling me that, when I look at Malden, you've got some folks that are what we consider old Malden, folks that maybe have been here for generations, grandparents, great-grandparents are here. You got folks who are brand new, different traditions, different ways of looking at the city. But it sounds like you're trying to unite that really into one really set of eyes that we can all look at, right? So the thing that pops into my head when I think about these experiences, like I think about, like I'm a sports person, so I love Malden youth sports. I think it was a way that many folks from my childhood, when they think about memories of Malden, you think about the City Series in baseball, you think about, Malden Pop Warner football, you think about these sports that just created this incredible camaraderie between different parts of our city, folks in our city that maybe went against another team. Maybe it's the Malden Medford football game, or maybe it's participating in high school sports, or even really the incredible winning streak of some of our high schools in the sports that they are, whether it be, the Mississippi Valley Charter School and their swim club, or Malden Catholic and their hockey program, and now their basketball program. I lump all these together and I say, there are some people that walk around and say, like, that's what I think of Malden. I think of this, really rich past about Malden sports. The late, great William Barron, who was a Malden High School teacher, won a state championship in basketball. I'm sorry, I go on and on. I digress a little bit. But why I brought that out is because when I drive by things like, whether it be Dever Park or even Pine Banks, I see folks of Indian descent playing cricket that are Malden residents. And now all of a sudden there's this brand new thing that came out of nowhere that is now part of the fabric of our city. And I think what I'm hearing here is that's another set of eyes to capture really the same view of who is Malden. So
absolutely.
same.
I think you're touching on a really interesting point, Ron. And I think, one of the reasons why we're exploring this through film is because collaborative filmmaking, collaborative visual storytelling, whether you're using a very expensive camera with a big crew in a Hollywood set, or whether it's just you and, yourself or a small team going out with your smartphone, what it relates to is, collaborative visual storytelling. And I think film allows us to really affirm the diversity of who we are, because we all have perspectives and we all have stories to tell. And I would argue that Malden, because of how rich it is in terms of its diversity in so many different concepts and ways, has perhaps some of the most interesting stories to tell that
I would agree with
of
that.
a community that I've ever been to.
Yeah.
So I think it's really about providing a platform or an opportunity through media to have people from all around the city in the community who have lots of different stories to tell, to come together, tell their stories through an interpretation of who is Malden, but also to meet people across differences and have themselves challenged and learn new perspectives and explore different parts of the city. I was earlier just today passing out postcards and flyers in different areas of downtown Malden, and I visited Pearl Street Station. And I did not know, I should have known this, but it's right next to the train tracks. And that's formerly where the actual train station was. Right. So I went indoors and saw the high ceilings, and I saw the timber frame, and I thought, wow, okay, this is actually what it used to be like. And I didn't know that. So that's an example of a location, of a building, of a structure that has a story to tell that perhaps a lot of people in Malden don't know about. But think about the people and what they've brought with them, whether they grew up here or whether they immigrated here from another country. And it's just an opportunity to share that experience.
It's great too. You know why I like what you just said is because you might have had someone that went to that building for buffalo wings and they made it their Tuesday night go-to, and they're happily there and they love the environment. But all of a sudden, when somebody in a film building project maybe goes in there and takes the history of it and converts it into a film building project, now all of a sudden it's the same location with this vastly improved experience about it. And it helps you to understand who is Malden, which I love. That is the theme. So let's just talk about procedurally. Somebody wants to participate, or maybe they don't know, right? Let's talk about the nitty gritty. Like what happens when you agree and you say, hey, I want to be a part of this. Is this something that, is going to take 100 hours? Is it something that, is going to take a year to do this? Is there pay for it? All the different things. Describe what somebody will go through, maybe, briefly about how they would get into this.
Absolutely. Because in the end, this is an opportunity for us to kind of put the word out to the community and say, hey, anyone who's interested, who's I'll go through the details in a second, but anyone who's interested in engaging in an experience like this, come on and do it. So it's basically, I'll start off by talking a little bit about what some of the benefits are, and then I'll go into the logistical details. So there are a lot of reasons to apply to be a film builder. And I will say that because this is our first time doing a project like this, and it's really the first time that anything like this using film and cross-cultural exchange has ever been done before. So it's I think that's really why the City of Malden got behind it and offered us the funding to put this forward. But aside from that, it's really, an opportunity for the people that come on board as film builders to grow from the experience. So they will receive a small stipend for taking part in this. I'm just reading through the list. They'll also receive a 1-year free membership at Urban Media Arts, which again is located in downtown Malden and is basically facilitating this project. And that would give them access to the UMA facility, the equipment, the camera equipment, workshops, podcast opportunities, and also media support.
So if you want to step it up, if you do want to enhance, like if you feel like, hey, maybe I do want to go with higher level of stuff, that's available to you, but it's not necessary.
Absolutely. Okay. So it's kind of providing an opportunity for people who want to take it further, as you said. Also, we are now in the process of interviewing professional local filmmakers in the greater Boston area who are going to be working individually with these groups of film builders as they go through the process of making their projects this summer. And I'll talk a little bit more about that process. But that's an experience to learn all kinds of different skills, not just technical skills related to how to hold a camera, because it's not really so much about that, but how to find story within color and texture and your own experience, how to put that into a story of some kind. We're also going to offer training in cross-cultural and community-oriented dialogue. The kickoff orientation, which starts the project, is going to be held on May 20th. And that's being facilitated by a Cambridge-based organization called Essential Partners, which specializes in dialogue across differences. So we've used part of the funding from the city to bring them in and get everyone who's involved in this project as a film builder an opportunity to kind of build ground rules with their groups and understand how to communicate in different ways and listen to understand and so on and so forth. But the actual process, to get back to your main question, is we start things off with the orientation on May 20th, which those who want to be film builders will need to attend. And then that's when they basically start working on their projects over the course of the summer. And we know that, a lot of people have different schedules during the summer. So, you may leave with your family on a vacation, you may work, whatever it is. So because of that, we've made sure that the scheduling is incredibly flexible. And that's going to be determined by each of the members within a group of 5 people who they will be collaborating with. So there are no dates other than May 20th, which is when the orientation is going to be held in downtown Malden. Other than that date, there are no other dates throughout the entire project that the film builders will have to agree to be able to attend. And then, after the filming and the project development is done throughout the summer, at the end of the summer is when the editing takes place. And we're using UMA as kind of a base camp, Urban Media Arts, so people can come in at any point and use the computers to do their editing. But the majority of the work is going to be done, kind of individually by the film builders, going out on their own with their cameras to film, but also maybe finding a time to meet up with their group members and kind of explore different parts of the city together. So it's really flexible in terms of scheduling and logistics.
Yeah, that's great. It also sounds like something, you're giving kind of like, a primer on film building, or just being able to, I would imagine that having just a little bit of guidance would probably save the folks a lot of time on really how to get the most out of these things, rather than just sort of, sending people out aimlessly and hoping they come back with something interesting. I think it sounds to me like you're giving some guidance on how to tweak that a little bit if you have no experience at all, how to do it. But also with the greatest care of trying to let the creativity sit with the team and not jump in and say, have some experienced filmmaker say, no, you really should have put your camera at this angle. It would have been so cool if, this is not that for them to do. This is just pure guidance, really.
Absolutely. You really hit the nail on the head there. And we're actually calling the professional filmmakers that are coming in to help with this mentors, because that's precisely what they're doing. They're mentoring the film builders that that are going to be taking part as they go through the process. And that's really where all the learning is going to take place. Obviously, learning special things from the mentors themselves, but also from their team members who are, again, going to be, you know, coming from mixed experiences and backgrounds and all different types of industries. So I just really want to emphasize again that this is open to everybody. There's no experience required in film or storytelling or anything like that. People of all ages. Oh, with the exception, because of liability purposes, obviously, we are recruiting people 18 and older. So that's really the only kind of thing that people should know when they decide to sign up. And we are asking that people who have some comfort level in English, we're encouraging people that have some comfort level in English to apply. If there are people that want to give it a try, but aren't feeling completely comfortable with their language abilities, then we may be able to find a way to navigate that. So that's something we're working on. And we do actually have a committee that we formed, made up of actually Malden city members and community members as well, that are helping us kind of implement DEI practices as we go through the process. So we are going to end up, when people apply to be film builders, because this is the first time we're doing it, it's happening on a little bit of a smaller scale, and we're going to end up with 30 film builders in total who are going to be divided into 6 different groups. So those who apply and aren't able to take part this time will have obviously another opportunity as we continue to put this forward. But all that selection process and the marketing and everything, that is being provided and supported by people in this committee. So it's all a learning process, and it's challenging because there are so many different languages spoken in Malden. I believe there's over 60 languages spoken in the public school system, which is really astonishing.
It
so
is.
It's something that we're trying to work on to make it as inclusive as possible. But at the same time, we don't have unlimited resources. So we're trying to figure out how best to do it.
Yeah, and actually to that end, if there are residents out there that know folks that want to engage, that need assistance, we can definitely make our language access coordinator, Elena Martinez, available to assist with this. We have a lot of resources here in City Hall that can maybe bridge that gap. So let's try to not let that be an obstacle anyway. So we can definitely help there. So I take it, or I've heard that you are going to be presenting to the Malden City Council meeting tonight, and now you are here on the city's Facebook page and on this webinar. So I'm guessing the clock is probably ticking, right? And you are kind of like, this is that last rush to get everybody, to sign up that wants to. So we want folks to take action from here, right? I mean, when's the deadline? When should they be getting in touch with you by for this?
Absolutely. And I just remembered as we were talking, I was so engaged in the conversation that I forgot to share my screen because I had a few.
That's okay.
But I will show the final slide that I had prepared. And this has a little bit more information about how to engage. But to your point, Ron, absolutely. The deadline for signing up has been extended to April 27th. We have a number of people that have already signed up from around the community, but we're encouraging as many people as possible to sign up. It's a very straightforward process through the Urban Media Arts website. You'll find a link to the sign up page with a few questions to answer. But yeah, that's how it is. And let me share my screen. And let's see, these are just some images kind of offering a picture of what this experience will be like with film screenings and going around with smartphones and filming and activating different spaces and so on and so forth. And these are actually a couple other images of things we have in mind for the screening events. I mentioned we're looking at green spaces outdoors, projecting on the sides of buildings, having panel discussions where the film builders who created the works will be able to talk about their projects and connect it to the community even further. But yes, this is a close-up of our flyer. And right here, that QR code will take you directly to the webpage where you can then sign up as a film builder, apply. And yeah, that's basically it.
Well, let's leave that up for a minute and just dive into a couple of things before we wrap up, because we do want to be respectful of your time, because you do have to go present to our city council on this same matter. But when this is all done and you've completed a project, what's the goal here? What does this end up doing for our city in the end? What's your vision? What do you see happening as a result of a successful project?
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it's all about. Well, I think it helps to think of the process and also the end result. So through the process of this project taking place, there are numerous partnerships that are being formed, both on an organizational level and an individual level. So we've already reached out to a lot of organizations about, helping to market the program, and also helping to find people to get involved and help with, for example, some of the DEI related principles that we're trying to embed in the program, things like that. So that already has kind of built these connections between disparate organizations. On the individual level, as the films are being made, of course, we have all the film builders, the 30 film builders that will end up being a part of this experience, all kinds of learnings that will take place on a cross-cultural basis and across social basis, I guess, through that. And then as these people are going out and, capturing who is Malden from their perspective, there are going to be opportunities for them to go into parts of the community that they've never been to and talk to, small business owners and talk to people on the street or on the bike path. So these are all kinds of connections that are going to be made, and connectivity is really a major theme that runs throughout this entire project. And then when the films are finished, they're going to be really, really unique premieres where we're going to invite community members to come to the screenings and watch the films and respond to them, and have talkbacks and panel discussions and so on related to not only what the films themselves are about, but how to connect discoveries that are made in the films and issues that might arise that people find within them, how to connect those to action and encouraging people to take action. So we're going to be talking to organizations and have them actually set up tables at some of the screening events and so on. So that's kind of on a micro level, I guess, where in terms of what we're thinking the growth and development that'll come about for this project. But on a macro level, it's really about kind of celebrating the diversity of Malden and finding ways to get people to explore the identity of the city in their own way. So the hope is that if this project is successful and the final report that we finish and hand into the city at the end of this year comes through, then this kind of thing can be replicated in other communities that have similar kind of goals as Malden.
We should mention, we would definitely be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that this project is funded by the American Rescue Plan Act funds that were made available to the city. So this was spread, there was a pool of money that came in to help us rebuild after the pandemic. And this became one of the projects that was funded. And because of its importance on, how does this help with something like coming out of the pandemic? Well, I think it's fairly obvious to me, but I mean, maybe you could elaborate on that. Like, is this because we're encouraging people to come out and be a part of the community, whereas maybe they were reclusive, or maybe they were a little bit afraid to come back out, re-enter these types of projects? Is that the essence of it, or is it more?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was born out of actually the Unite Malden campaign that was put forward, I believe, three or so years ago.
2020.
2020. And of course, it had to do with uniting the community. So that's really where the program was born. And as it developed in different ways, we looked more at, oh my goodness, this pandemic is going on. So how might we use this opportunity to engage the public, especially through the film screening events, in a different kind of way, inviting them out, and again, bringing people that would otherwise not be meeting in the same place together. And I guess one other point that I wanted to mention is this is really another bigger picture goal, is really putting Malden as a city, as a community, on the arts and culture map in all of New England. as I mentioned before, this is nothing like this has ever really been done before, using film in this sort of way. So I think this is absolutely going to provide the city with an opportunity to kind of, flex its muscles a bit and say, look, this is something that we invested in, and we've seen these wonderful results in the form of these films that have been made that explore our community, bringing all these people together, and hopefully even leading to some economic benefits for some of, for example, the small businesses that take part in the screening events and so on.
Tom Flint, the artistic director for this project, and you said something that really doesn't surprise me at all, and that is Malden is on the forefront, innovating, paving new roads, paving new pathways to something innovative. That doesn't surprise me one bit, because that's the Malden that I know. And I think you're right. Some other communities will really be starting to pay attention to what we're doing here. We certainly know the great things that are going on here. I'm really excited about this project, and I'm glad that you took some time to share this with us. And we want to make sure that folks, they've seen this on screen here. They can, again, the website to go to, it's a short URL. It's bit.ly/whoismalden. And of course, you can go to the Urban Media Arts website, and there's a link there on the front page to sign up. We do encourage you, if this is something that's of interest to you, do not wait, as you may get shut out of this. We don't want to see that. We want to see everybody participate that wants to participate. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up, Tom?
I'll just say this is a wonderful opportunity. And the question that I guess everyone should be asking is, why wouldn't I want to participate in something like this, with all that it does for the community, and an opportunity for, great exploration and discovery. So yeah, we hope as many people as possible who are interested in this can sign up and be a part of it. Agreed.
Couldn't have said it any better. Thanks again, Tom Flint, for joining us, and good luck for all your future film builders that decide to go down this path. And once again, my name's Ron Cochran. I'm with the Office of Mayor Gary Christensen, doing our communications, and hopefully, again, we'll get some folks to sign up based off of what they've learned here today. Thanks again, Tom. Take care.
Thanks so much, Ron. Bye-bye.